wait a second, you're very low. Let me just raise the volume. Okay. Can you talk again?
Yeah, can you hear me? Or is it still
Yeah,
low?
perfectly.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Adam.
Yeah. So our podcast is all about your journey in the music industry, how you got to where you are today. I did read that you've wrote, songs for some big TV shows and stuff. So I want to hear about that, and of course the new track you just put out as well. So
awesome.
Cool. Where are you at right now? Are you in London?
Actually, I'm in a beautiful place called Portugal because I've got a house here and I wanted to escape the London weather. But I've heard that it's really nice and sunny now in London. So it's actually pretty miserable here.
I was going to ask you about Portugal. I wondered if you had some ties there due to some of the cool things you had a chance to do in Portugal. Did you get to play for these like super important people and stuff?
Yeah, it was, I was born in Portugal and I grew up here, but my family's British. So I've grown up in a bilingual environment, although my English is stronger than my Portuguese.
Okay.
And then eventually I moved to London, where I've been for the past 6 years now.
Wow. So how'd you get into music? How long were you in Portugal? Real quick. So
So when did I get into music? As soon as I was born. Like my mom used to say I used to sing in the crib. And like when I was 3 years old, I pestered my parents to play the piano, even though I was really young. And all the teachers said, no, she's too young. But I annoyed them so much that one of them said yes. And then I just started playing. So it's been cool. Since then. Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm surprised that you were the one pestering your parents. It's usually the other way around, where people's parents will be like, at least here in the United States, I've noticed that like a lot of people I've talked to, like, yeah, my parents forced me to play piano, but now I'm super grateful for it. But they had to force me into it or whatever. Yeah. So.
Oh, that was definitely born in the wrong country then.
How long were you in Portugal?
I was in Portugal for a while. So basically until I finished school, pretty much.
High school. So you grew up in Portugal. But
exactly.
Your parents are from London originally?
No, my parents are actually from a British, I'm not sure how you call it. It's not a colony, but it's Gibraltar, which is in the south of Spain. But,
okay.
But it's English territory, basically. So they speak English there with a British accent. So
interesting. Very cool. So you got into music 3 years old. You're asking for piano lessons?
Yeah.
And your parents give you the piano lessons?
Yeah, they gave me just to shut me up, And my parents, actually, my mom is a really good piano player. And my grandfather used to play blues. But she's a biologist and my dad's a doctor. So you can imagine, when I went into music, it didn't go down very well.
Sure. Wow. Did you go to school for music at all? After?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So basically, because I had piano lessons, I was doing the official music exams every year. So even though I wasn't necessarily in a music school, I was doing the exams. And then later on, I actually studied design at university. But I was so miserable studying design that I signed up for jazz school. So I was doing side jobs and stuff to pay for jazz school, and then I did jazz university as well after that.
Wow, very cool. What was the first song you wrote? Like you said, you got into music at 3. Is piano your main instrument, and did you start writing piano?
Yeah, definitely. Piano is my main instrument. It's my first love. I think singing is I love singing just because it's more intuitive. You can sing wherever you are in the world and you don't need a piano or an instrument to play. And I think one of the first songs I wrote was a really childish 4-year-old song. Cause I was composing since I started playing piano. Cause what I did was I'd take things up by ear and then I'd just play around and just, make some really cheesy, piano songs, piano pop songs.
But still, wow, to be able to, actually write out a song at that young of an age, that's pretty incredible.
Thank you. I suppose when you're having fun, that's kind of what it is. Kids just want to play around. And for me, that was playing. It's not literally playing. Instead of playing with toys, I go to the piano and I play. So.
Wow. Yeah. When did you decide that you were gonna, do music full force?
Well, I actually gave up on music when I went into university, and I decided to be serious because all of the guidance counselors at school were like, if you want to go into music, you have to become a music teacher, and that's not something that at the time I wanted to do. So when I think it was into the first semester of design university, and don't get me wrong, I do love design. I love building things, and I love like creating new things, but like in the first semester, after a while, I was just so miserable because I wasn't playing. I completely gave it up, that I started realizing, okay, if I don't get back into music, I'm not going to be happy. Like, I'll be miserable for the rest of my life. So that's when I think I was just like, okay, I have to have music in my life somehow. And then I was invited to be the lead singer of this indie rock band at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a good time. We were all friends just together. It wasn't like a proper music project, but it was good fun. And then I started paying for my own guitar lessons. And then the guitar teacher that I was learning with, he's like a super musician in Portugal. And he invited me to be in his super eclectic blues project. So I was all of a sudden a really young girl being invited to play with some of the best here. So yeah, then I went into that, and that's when I started thinking like, well, maybe I can actually do this full time, because things just escalated from the moment that I decided I wanted to have music in my life somehow. Things just started happening. So
you started paying for guitar lessons from this guy that's just like huge in Portugal. Is that how you made that connection?
Well, basically the guitar player in the band that I joined was having guitar lessons with this teacher. And I was like, oh, you play these really cool riffs. I want to learn how to do that too. Because I self-learned how to play the guitar at 14, but I never had proper lessons. So then he was playing all these cool bluesy riffs and stuff. I'm like, oh, I want to do that as well. So I started learning with this teacher. And it was actually by accident, because the friend of mine who was playing guitar in the band that I was in at the time, he sent me some MP3s or something of cool new songs. And by accident, one of the recordings that we had done was on there. And then the teacher liked my voice and was like, oh, do you want to be in this project? I think I have a really fresh, new bluesy voice. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And when did you start Rue as just your solo stuff?
Just my solo stuff. So I've been writing since I was 4, but I've just never had the courage to kind of go off on my own. And I can say I've been writing for other artists for a long time. And I was writing for the artists because I always thought like the songs that I wrote, they never really reflected what I'm about musically speaking. So I'd end up writing, I could write in any kind of style. So I could write a rock song and then a pop song and this, and I'd just give it to other people. And I think it was in the summer of 2015, I wrote a song that I really liked. It wasn't necessarily 100% my style, but I liked the lyrics so much. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put it out. And then this label called me up and they wanted to release it. And then we all released it. It was called Summer Blaze. And yeah, and I think it was 2015 then that I released my first.
So you started writing songs for other people first. And how did you make that connection? Like you'd write songs and then how would you find people to give them to, or how would people find you to, have you write songs for them? And
it's really word of mouth. So at the time, it was actually an ex-boyfriend I had who he played, but he couldn't write lyrics in English. So I started, by writing lyrics in English for him, and then writing the melodies and adapting the melodies and the sounds he was making to write like proper lyrics for that. And then I started writing my own songs. I started developing it. And a lot of people would approach me because they knew that I could do that. So it was just like some contestants from X Factor and then some producers who knew that I could do that. So they're like, do you want to write the song for this person? And yeah, and that's basically how it happened.
Wow. So you were writing songs for contestants on X Factor. Is that how you, didn't you write songs for like the finalists of the Portuguese Portuguese Idol and X Factor?
Yeah.
And all? Tell me about how'd you get involved with Portuguese Idol and writing for the finalists?
Well, basically, Portugal's a really small country. So so you can imagine that the music scene is probably like this size.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of the same thing, just word of mouth. And I was doing a lot of gigs. So basically I say basically a lot. So when I was...
I didn't notice.
When I was, what do you call it? When I started off as a musician, it wasn't easy because when I started doing it full time, I didn't necessarily have a lot of support. So I had to work at a call center, and I kind of saved up money to buy my own sound system and all of that, and learned how to do it. And I started performing as a session musician at events and stuff like that. And through that, that's what most musicians do in Portugal as well, because besides playing with big names, they also need to have the side projects and stuff, and the events. So within that circuit, I started performing so much that people started knowing who I was. And I performed with a lot of different musicians who were then producing for this artist or that artist. And they would be like, okay, come on board and help us write a song for this artist and stuff like that. So it's basically, again, word of mouth and who you work with in the industry.
Okay. And when you're writing those songs for like the X Factor contestants and stuff, were you still living in Portugal at that time, or had you already made the move?
No, I was still living in Portugal at the time.
Oh, okay.
I was flying all over for events and for concerts and performances, but yeah, mainly that way.
And then, okay, so you put out the first song is Rue. You said 2015. That was like a song that really felt like it should be your sound and for you. When did you? And then from there, did you end up writing a record as Rue, or is that kind of still pretty new?
No, that was pretty new. So that was my first, that was the first time that I dipped my toe in the water. And then, that song did so well, where was it? In Australia, the UK, and in the US, it was playing at a lot of radio stations. That's when I kind of got the courage to be like, okay, I've done all I can do here in Portugal, so I might as well just try my luck in London. And I had a lot of contacts, and I was performing there already. So that's when I decided to move. And then, I don't know if you know this, but London is super hectic when it comes to finding a house. So I was living on my friends' sofas for ages, for years.
Oh, really? It's that hard to find a place to live there?
It is, because it's just really, it's a very expensive city. And if you're just starting out as a musician, you want to make sure that you have the right house. And then you have to flat share because it's so expensive.
Sure.
So it took me a while to get settled. And once I did get settled, I started performing more and more, and I started meeting people in the industry who then introduced me to the right producers. And that's how this record came about, the EP, which was produced by Cassell, the beatmaker. So I met him and I explained my vision and the songs I had already written that I wanted him to produce. And that happened in 2018. So it took a while since I moved to London to then be able to be settled and meet the right people to do, because for me, music's always been about something very pure. So I wanted to make sure I was working with the right people and not just putting a record out there just for the sales or the sake of it,
Yeah, yeah. So you said was About Time the first one you put out? That's the most recent one, right?
That's the most recent one. I actually released a single before then that belongs to the EP, but it was called Holding On. Okay. And then I released Clean Slate, who did both those singles did really well on Spotify, and then I dropped the EP with the title single.
Wow! So the EP is out now.
Yeah, the EP is out now. It was out on the 15th of May.
Okay. Was that weird putting it out during this, pandemic?
So weird. I had to postpone the release about 3 times.
Really? Was that because due to what's going on? You postponed it, and then you just decided on the 15th, whatever, we're going to put it out.
Yeah, exactly. The first time it was because of it didn't fit in with the release date concert that we were doing at a really cool venue in London called Cargo. And then the second time was because of PR. Because of COVID, everything got pushed back. So we had to wait a bit to release it. Oh. And it's all done by me. So it's kind of frustrating to get, all the work you have to do to get it out. And then it's like, no, wait, now you have to do it all over again.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So you don't have a label or anything like that?
No. I mean, not for the time being. I want to make sure if I do have a label that it's the right one, with the right conditions and that. So.
Yeah. Have you had interest of people contacted you already to try to, Oh, very cool. Yeah, weighing your options there.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, music for me, like I said before, music for me is just so pure that I want to make sure that the team of people that are working with me are in the same vibe, in the same line of thought,
Well, tell me about this new EP. I want to, the current single is About Time. What's that song about?
So About Time is a song that I wrote ages ago. It previously had bigger lyrics, but we had to cut it down to make it more commercial. But it speaks about a lot of different stories, some that belong to friends of mine, others that belong to people all over the world. And like most of my songs, it's about, accepting what you've been through, accepting your struggles, but realizing that every day is a new day to start all over again. So it kind of gives you perspective, and it shows you that everyone in the world struggles and everyone's got their various different struggles. So, tomorrow is as good day as any to just decide to, fight for your dreams.
I love that. And and is that kind of like, tell me about the EP. Was it just the collective of songs that you had written over the years, or were they all kind of written within the same time period?
No, they were a collective of songs that I'd written throughout the years. So some of them were, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years old, and some of them were written 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Was it hard to decide which songs you wanted to put on the album?
It was,
because I'm sure you had like that many. I'm sure you had 100 songs, and then you got to pick, a handful of them.
It's always hard, but the thing is, because the songs I had written in the past, they were in such different music styles that when I realized what my sound was, I knew, okay, I've got to pick these three,
Okay.
Because these are the most coherent with my sound, which is more like Jamiroquai and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I definitely hear Jamiroquai in your music, a little Amy Winehouse-ish too. I hear that a bit.
Wow,
I really like
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Actually, I wanted to tell you something. I was so excited when I saw, your vlogs and the interviews, because some of the bands that I grew up listening to were interviewed by you. So I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe he was freaking out.
Which bands? I'm just curious.
Newfound Glory, The Used, Simple Plan. I used to listen to them all the time when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I love those. Are like my favorite. That's like my favorite style of music, like that. Early 2000s, like pop punk. Yeah. I really dig it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love all styles of music, but that was in particular when I was growing up. That was like my favorite. Listen to. That's cool.
They're so cool. I've actually got a funny story with a Simple Plan song, because I think it was one of the last Christmas concerts I performed at in school. It was like, it was a kind of Catholic-ish school, so people were super strict and stuff, and they let us go on, and I was going on with my bands, and we were performing Simple Plan's Christmas list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're a bit like, I want a girl in my bed, a PlayStation 2, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the teacher didn't know what we were going to play, so we played this in front of little kids and their parents. And we got kicked out of the Christmas concert.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How old were you when this Christmas concert was going on? Were you going to the school? You guys were that young?
Yeah. I was maybe 14, 15. I'm not sure.
That's so funny. Did they punish you outside of just kicking you out of it?
Or they did this, like the music teacher who was super strict, like he was called Mr. Payne, accurately. He screamed at us and didn't let us go back on for the rest of the shows.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Yeah, rebel in the heart.
Have you been doing any Instagram Live or being able to perform at all in this like streaming due to the pandemic?
Yeah, I was lucky because I've been doing a bunch, and I work with some really cool promoters in Lisbon, and they're actually putting on what's it called? Sorry, I'm really bad with names, but they're putting on a really cool festival in July, which is called Give a Gig, and it's supposed to help young musicians who are struggling in some way, and the money goes towards them to help them with their futures and stuff, which is always a really good thing to do. And that's on the 11th and 12th of July. So I'm going to be doing that. It's a live stream festival.
Awesome.
And it's been good fun. I've been doing a few as well I did one for Canada, one for Portugal as well, and a bunch of them for the UK, which was good fun.
Wow, that's really cool.
Sorry, I completely forgot. The coolest one was so far Honolulu.
Oh, Hawaii? on a
Yeah,
loop?
yeah. So like I performed for them, obviously on the computer when I was in London, but it was really cool because it was part of the So Far group, and everyone was so lovely, and it was so cool. And you really got that Hawaii feeling, you know, like everyone's so chilled and like.
That's cool. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
I haven't, but it's one of my dreams. I really hope
Yeah.
to visit some point.
Yeah, I've never been to London. I've never been really outside of the U.S. Unfortunately.
Yeah, where are you from, by the way? Where are you based?
Southern California, like by LA.
Oh, mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been to Hawaii, but I've never been across. I really need to get out there and check out London and all of that.
Yeah, it's not as sunny as LA, but it is nice.
That's cool. So yeah, that's awesome. You've been doing live streaming and all that stuff. Do you enjoy that, or?
I do. It was a bit weird at first because, you know, you expect some kind of reaction and energy exchange between the people, and all you've got are like a bunch of comments.
Yeah. Were you able to?
Yeah.
Can you read them, or are you just kind of playing and not focusing too much on what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not focusing at all. And then when I like loads of times I had to be really far away from the screen, so I had to go like, you know, like a grandparent just trying to check out because I couldn't read them. Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome, though. Well, I'm excited. I'll check out that live stream you have coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's like a bunch of artists are going on, like London-based, and they're really good. So it's definitely worth it.
Awesome. Very, very, very cool. Thank you so much, Ru, for
Thank
taking
you, Adam.
time to chat with me. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Any advice for aspiring artists is no matter what you do, just do you. Don't try to copy what other people are doing. You shouldn't really care about what other people are saying or that you should be doing or who you should be. Just be yourself. It sounds so cliche, but it's kind of what it is. Especially in music, you have to be yourself and you have to be unique. So just never mind what the world's trying to tell you to be. Just do your thing.